All right, everyone. Like just about everybody who saw this, the first time I really thought that someone got hacked, that something was not quite right, every single person on Twitter didn't believe this was true. I tried my best to process this on the cap end and all that as soon as it started, but also just tried to wait and see what happens. And even if it was even if it was a fake, it seemed very believable. But it all worked out. I'm processing all the pieces that Sham's, the three teamer. The math is mathing, and yeah, so we have this trade, the most probably shocking trade I can remember. My heart's still pounding, even though it's like almost 2 hours later. And probably the most shocking moment in the NBA online transaction era we're in since 2019, when we had the Clippers do what they did and got Kawhi and Paul George that one night. So just some quick plugs. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. I had a lot of big reactions to it on the Lakers side, the Mavs side of things, the cap stuff, some bigger picture stuff. Blue Sky as well. Been posting on there as well. If you're watching this on Twitter or Blue Sky, please make sure you're subscribed to YouTube. It's my name, Yossi Goslin. And please subscribe to Third Apron, my newsletter. So the cap stuff's gonna be pretty quick. I think I've already broken down most of it. Since the trade is so big, it's kind of hard to really get into too much cap stuff. It's more so the bigger picture stuff. So I'm gonna get through it. I'm gonna just kind of speed through it as quickly as I just can. But Lakers picture before the trade started, they did the Dorian Finney-Smith trade. And they are in that position where they're over the first apron, right below the second. All the speculation on them is that they're going to just do some minimal type trades, maybe trade a Gabe Vincent for Jonas Valanciunas type thing. Maybe if they're lucky, they'll get Walker Kessler. But now that this trade happened, it involved the Jazz. I don't think Walker Kessler's happening. And they just had all these restrictions, and now they did this trade. So Luka and AD, pretty much identical salaries. So the way the framework was, they're sending out Christie and AD and Jalen Hood-Schifino. They're bringing back Maxey. So they're doing Anthony Davis for Luka, and then they're doing Christie and Jalen Hood-Schifino for Maxey Kleber. So those are basically two separate trades in one, where AD salary is just a little over Luka's. So that works for them because they can't take back more salaries than they're sending out. So then they're also doing Christie and Jalen Hood-Schifino for Kleber. Both of them together just barely passes $11 million, so that works. And then they're taking in Markieff Morris. He's a minimum salary. They could just absorb him. So they actually increased their payroll because of this. They're basically like their payroll, their luxury tax payment, that's capped as it could be. But so that's basically it as far as this year. But it's not going to be, that's not just it, because this roster is kind of a mess now. They don't have a starting quality big. And I would guess there's going to be some other moves coming. They're limited in assets. They only have one more first-round pick they could trade in 2031, and they have 2 seconds in this upcoming draft. They traded their 29 first-round pick along with Anthony Davis in this trade. So for the Lakers, I think that I understand doing it now and worrying about the rest later when a generational talent like Luka Doncic becomes available. So, and, given the price, I think on the surface it's a no-brainer. I haven't really gotten to fully think about like really bigger picture ahead. But I would say that if this was a trade, you trade Anthony Davis. He's 32 years old, about to start that Supermax deal, and you can get Luka like 25, 26, and you only trade one first round pick on top of that. Yeah, I think that's kind of a no brainer. Worry about the rest later. So the real interesting thing, no trade exceptions, nothing like that. So then here's the whole contract situation with Luka, because he was eligible to sign the Supermax with the Mavs already. He already qualified for it because he was All-NBA twice in the previous 2 seasons. He was going to be able to sign it this offseason. It was going to be 5 years, $418 million. He can no longer do that with any other team. He was only able to do that with the Mavs. Now that he's with the Lakers, he's locked in at basically this. That's the most he can extend with the Lakers this upcoming season. 30% max. It would start him at $51 million in 26-27, top out at $63 million, 29-30. So not only are the Lakers getting Luka Doncic at what many might consider a discounted price, but they're also getting him at a discounted rate. When you think about him being a top 5-ish player right now in the league, making less than the 35% max, which is a huge significant difference, that's huge, because that could really help the Lakers in their pursuit to get another co-star, help and maximize their window with him. But I'll get to that a little later. But I'm guessing that he's gonna, I already messed it up. I didn't even show the whole thing, but I'm guessing, you can ignore this, that what is gonna end up happening is Luka's gonna sign like a 2-year extension with a player option for this year. Then the idea is that he would decline it, and then in 2028, he's got 10 years of service, and then he can re-sign for, I believe it would be like a 5-year, like $400 something million. No, wait, that's a Supermax he's already got. Okay, you know what? I already messed this up, guys. This is what Luka can sign with the Lakers in 2028. This is what he can sign in 2020. I already messed this up, guys. But either way, no, it was a 5. He basically can't do 5 for 345 now. What he's probably going to do, though, is he's going to do a 2-year plus 1. He'll do what Donovan Mitchell did. Sign a 2-year deal, get a player option for this year, decline it, and then in 28-29, he could start out something at around that $72 million amount, and then do that 5-year for a $418 million deal. So that's so basically, but the main thing is that he's at a discount, so to speak, for the next 25, 26, 27, 20, next 4 seasons. So the Lakers have until then, which would be the end of his 10th year, before he has to get the 35% max, to maximize the flexibility and build this roster the best they can, maybe get him another co-star, which I feel pretty confident that they'll probably get. They just got Luka. We'll get into what may have happened, the dynamics that have led to that. Now, I just want to show a little bit about next year's situation, because that's also a little bit of a mess of its own. So you got Luka in there now for AD. Christie's gone. They got Maxi Kleba in. So their payroll is more or less the same than what it was supposed to be next year. Luka's making a little less than what Anthony Davis was supposed to make. So they don't really have any flexibility. They're not going to be able to do too much different than they could do now. Their pick situation is not going to be any better. They're still only going to be able to trade one additional first round pick next offseason. So the other thing that's really interesting to me is some of the follow-up reporting from Shams, specifically that the Lakers were approached by the Mavericks about this trade. And to me, that kind of seems like, I mean, I don't know. It seems like Luka probably wasn't going to sign that extension. I'll get to that in the Mavs side of things. But he's saying that LeBron had no idea was coming. Supposedly Anthony Davis had no idea that this was coming. I guess Luka didn't even know this was coming. So I'm starting to think a little more ahead about what this might mean for LeBron now. Especially if it's true that he had no idea, he had no say in this, because on one hand, this probably feels like they're going to play together. They're going to keep it together for this year. But also, you're bringing in a 25, 26-year-old superstar. The Lakers clearly thinking about now the next era, the next iteration of this team that won't have LeBron James for that much longer. So is there a way? I'm thinking of both like ways that it can include him, and then both when the Lakers will probably have a shot at their next guy, because next season, yeah, they have no cap space. They're already going to be pretty high in the tax and stuff. But we all know last off season there was the whole thing about LeBron potentially taking a pay cut, so the Lakers can go ahead and sign someone. They didn't get anyone. So they didn't need that flexibility. But let's say he does take a pay cut next year, something like $20 million versus that $54 million player option. He declines it, takes something like that. So they get more tax flexibility. They get more flexibility below their apron to do some other trade if they want to combine multiple players to get someone with that pick that they have available left to trade, but no cap space. Now, let's just say hypothetically that LeBron, who's 40 years old now, just finished his 22nd season, really wants to maximize this window with Luka, is willing to take the minimum, hypothetically, which I don't think he would do. They still don't have any cap space. They'd still be, this is not a cap space, 13, 16 million. So they have some work to do to figure out what's next. But I haven't made my sheets for 26, 27 yet, usually because I want to wait till after this year's trade deadline to actually develop them. Because right now, if you look at the cap sheets for teams in 26, 27, most teams are going to have cap space because a lot of deals are yet to be signed. And once a lot of players get extended and sign deals in this upcoming offseason, then those cap space amounts you'll see in 26, 27, they're going to go away. But the Lakers will be in a position, they'll be in a position to have cap space anyways with Luka in 26, 27. With LeBron, his always year to year, he'd be off the books. Rui will be off the books. Dorian Finney-Smith, he's got that player option. They can extend him this week. He'll be extension eligible starting this week. But, he probably won't be getting, I don't see him getting like more than what he's currently making. So they could keep him along they could keep him that salary along. Reeves, I believe he signed that he'll be in his player option. He'll probably have to get a raise by then because he'll probably decline it. I think Vanderbilt will be done. Yeah, but Vincent Kleba will be done. So they're going to be, if they don't add any more long-term salary, they could still have cap space in 26, 27. And I haven't quite looked at the list of free agents for that season. And I know that's been a big talking point recently because there's been the whole thing about Miami that they want to... they're trying to, whatever Jimmy trade they do, they want to clear space to have max cap space in 2027. Let me see if I'm pulling this right. Okay. So here's from SpotRack. My browser's not going to show it. I don't know if you could see the names kind of, but here's just some names that could still be available. You got Damian Lillard, I'll try to go for the younger guys mainly. Trae Young, Zach LaVine, De'Aaron Fox. So his situation could be cleared if he's traded this week. Nothing too crazy here. But if someone does become available, they could still get another guy. But yeah, to me, this kind of feels like Luka made it clear, or he told the Mavs, he said that he doesn't want to sign this extension. Even though he's already eligible to it, he can sign it this summer. He just had to wait a year to get 7 years of service. So after this year, he gets that. Then he can officially sign that extension. And to me, it feels like he had no intention of doing that, which is why the Mavs probably acted early And specifically to the Lakers, feels like that's where he wanted to go. I could be wrong. I'm just, putting things together how I think it probably played out. But that's what I'm guessing happened. So also some reporting here by Tim McMahon about how the Mavs had concerns about moving forward with him because of his conditioning. And then the looming commitment of another Supermax extension. This makes the reporting would be that they're concerned about committing to him on such a deal. Mark Stein says that Luka did not request a trade. Super interesting if this really was all done without any type of consultation with their star players. So let's look at the Mavs situation real quick. They came into this over the tax, and I didn't think they'd make any moves. I thought they just kind of stay the course. They have a very deep roster. They just repeated they just went to the finals. When they've been healthy, they've been a top 3 team in my opinion. So like the Lakers, they were below the apron levels and they were over the tax though. So, but by just a little bit. So now that they did this, they actually ducked the tax. Anthony Davis had this trade bonus and he declined it, which does the Mavs a pretty big deal, a big favor, because if he took it, it would have added another $2.5 million to his salary. And now they're at they're right below the tax. If they don't do anything else, they open up a roster spot though. So at some point in mid-March, they should be able to sign a buyout player. If they don't fill up the roster spot before that. So the big concern though with the Mavs though is this kind of just everything that they did last summer or last year in the trade deadline now just looks way worse. Because I remember when the trade deadline happened and they were really aggressive. They traded a first to get PJ Washington to the Hornets. They traded, so that was a 27 first round pick to the Hornets. They traded a swap to the Thunder, which allowed the Thunder to trade a first to the Wizards that got them Daniel Gafford. And they already owed a 2029 first round pick to the Nets from the Kyrie Irving trade. And they owe a 2030 swap to the Spurs from getting Grant Williams. And look, the Mavs will be good this year. They'll probably be good next year too. After that, who knows? Especially with their lack of trade flexibility. They, like the Lakers, they could only trade, they have their 2025 first round pick to trade, which will probably be low 20s. And then they also have their 2031 first round pick they can trade right now. I don't know what their plans are. Oh, and they got that 29 first also from the Lakers. Like now all these moves, they're not looking too good for the Mavs. That's what I'm really concerned about. You've got these two aging stars on your team and very minimal ways to build to the next iteration of this team. Like once you get to 27, 28, that's when things can get a little difficult there. So that's the biggest takeaway with the Mavs. The trade deadline last year, it looked risky at the moment when it happened, then obviously looked way better after they made the finals. And now, to me, it's looking pretty horrible. So, and then if you just take a look at their flexibility, like they don't have any flexibility either. They're like in the same position as the Lakers. They're going to be like right at the tax next year with a mostly full roster other than Quentin Grimes, who I'm sure they'll want to bring back. So that's about the Lakers and Mavs. And I'll finish it off with Utah. Big day for them. This was what they started with today. They were about $27 million below the tax. They made those 2 trades with the Clippers. Now they bring in Jalen Hood-Schifino, so they added about 10 million, 11 million to their payroll. Way easier for teams below the tax, below the aprons, to increase their payroll significantly. And they do need to clear a roster spot before doing this. Maybe they waive one of the guys they brought in. One other thing, though, about this Lakers construction, the way I also say, the way I kind of bring up how now LeBron's future, I wonder how much that is in play. I wonder how on the table everybody is, from LeBron to potentially Austin Reeves. If they do need a big man, that might be their most realistic way to do it. But at the same time, now that the Lakers did this, how much does LeBron want to be there if he was so attached to AD? But at the same time, it's Luka Doncic. Maybe he wants to be a part of that. Maybe he's willing to take whatever pay cut is necessary to also bring in another guy to make this all make sense. I'm just really curious to see how that all plays out, because the Lakers got Luka, but it just feels like everything else with them is extremely fluid. So that's my, oh, wow. I did all that while showing the Lakers payroll, the Mavs payroll. But anyways, that's everything I've got. Thanks for tuning in. Please follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, subscribe on YouTube, Third Apron, and I will be pretty active as we get closer